that we want that feedback that there is currently no indoor social space. Space where students can be indoors, be socialized, even with the piazza. You're working on your app through the monitors and TVs and stuff. So we're working on that. And the perspective is no, that's a steady state. And so I think there's a disconnect with these campers, not me, about what students do. Students don't just go to class and go home. As Terry said, your schedules are spread out. And we have no social space other than outside for students. And some of the comments are, oh, those were just January and they were problematic. Yes, some of them were. We are fighting to have some sort of recreational space, either in the Wi-Fi or take part of the piazza, have like a pool table, ping pong table, football, a gaming center. So, and other people are looking at our space, Student Life and AS space, to extend the Wi-Fi and those first year services into our space and just move up. And so that's now becoming an issue. And space is a huge commodity on campus, but I think there's a lack of understanding and there's an assumption that there's apathy and that students don't need social spaces. But I know, and I'm not trying to throw Dr. Jones under the bus. I know she wants to centralize welcome center. I don't know that she's ready to where it is, but she wants it centralized. She wants, so when you say FYE only handles first year students. That means which are only 5,000 students. So everybody else should come through the Wi-Fi. And that's been part of the issue is now we have these different, we have L building, we have welcome center, we have D building. And the one, you all know, students are confused, they don't know where to go. And I think Dr. Jones' place perspective is we have to stop seeing students everywhere. That there needs to be a centralized welcome center that students know where it is. And I know that's her interest. And so that's why she likes the lot where it is now, right? Because it's adjacent to the student services center, it's adjacent to the pantry, it's adjacent to those other services that students use. And so, but I don't know that it's been communicated up that students also need social space. To be checking out, even though we didn't let it eat here. But to eat, it's a socialize. So I know they were working on some, definitely were working on some sort of combination of lounge and welcome center that I don't really think they understand how students are in socializing. It's not going to be a quiet place. And, people are going to apply for college. And folks are hanging out, talking, that's a problem. So I do think we should kind of do some research and ask some questions. I think that's a good start. And that's keep it on the radar and research that.
Yes.
I would like to ask if there is, I would like to ask you now, because you're the ones who are most in contact with Dr. Rita, student services, trying to deal with surveys. If we can get an environmental standard about it, asking students, would you like a space to be? Because if some of you have been in these meetings, and you have seen these professors, staff, they would literally ask when, this was during calendar day when Professor Wilbur was talking about how students were reaching out to him. A faculty member asked, I keep hearing what students want, but what do they need? Can you get me solid information? I think there's evidence enough that we can't simply say, we want this, and while we can provide anecdotal stories, and I'm not trying to say they're not as powerful, they are very significant, but unless we start providing them with concrete numbers, they're going to continue to say that this is Dr. Leader to do an environmental spin on this?
For sure. I mean, it all comes down to her agreeing, right? But one thing that we can do is host a town hall, you know, and find out what is it that we need as students, especially in finding a space available for those who aren't in programs such as FYE. Thank you. Great discussion, y'all. So I'm gonna move on just because of lack of time. One of our guests has class at 2 p.m. So moving on to discussion item A, discussion about truth, racial healing, and transformative initiative. And for that, we have Jasmine Lopez joining us today. Let me go ahead and, are you able to unmute yourself?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here today. First of all, for those who don't know me, my name is Jasmine Lopez. I identify as Chicana. I am here to talk about the Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformative initiative that I have been blessed to be a part of for the past few months, along with Carrie Afuso, Nicholas Hatch, Carrie Bolin, and Rebecca Cobb. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen if that's okay.
Yes, do you have access?
Oh no, it says host disabled. Should I send it to you?
I needed access to it. You're good though, you have access now.
Okay.
So no, that's okay.
All good. All righty. All right, so here goes nothing. Sorry, y'all. It's been a while since I've done the Zoom thing, but thank y'all for sharing this virtual space with me. It's so nice to hear all the amazing work that y'all got going on. Can y'all see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, sorry, I can't. Oh, so I was gonna mention I can't really hear the folks all the way in the back. Like it sounds really, really low or staticky. All right, so this is my PowerPoint. So I don't mean to rush this, sorry y'all, but I have class in a few minutes and it's in person. So I'm sorry if this feels rushed. I can totally come back on another occasion and discuss this further because I do want there to be a little bit of dialogue and just some time to like really let the information sink in. It's a lot of information. So what is truth, racial healing, and transformative, transformation? Before I begin, I wanted to explain the symbolism behind the Sankofa in our logo. In the spirit of Sankofa, we can't move forward unless we know where we come from. And that's why the bird's beak is looking behind. And it's an African inspired way of interdependence by spiritual cosmologies of being and becoming. With that, I wanted to reflect on my own transformation coming to PCC's campus as a non-traditional student. I was in the service industry for a very long time. So it's kind of like, I realized that I was that I was a part of this like exploitative culture that I can now identify. And I also realized that I needed racial healing myself. And I wanted to bridge this opportunity to my community because where I come from, I grew up in South LA. I saw a lot of divide. And at some point in time, a lot of people, including my family members and myself, gave into that. So I thought that it would give me, it actually gave me a lot more purpose to come forward with this truth of mine. So I wanted to open up that part of my truth here with you all today. And a little bit of background of the initiative. Like I mentioned, it's a team of 5 folks that I think 4 of them are here right now. And we all came together over the summer. We took a 3-day series of workshops and trainings to see To further analyze what would work in our campus, what has worked in other campuses, this is a national effort, came together by the Association of Colleges and Universities of the US. So it is a nationwide effort. And with that, I will transition on to my next slide. Here we go. So what is TRHT? In essence, this tool is one that our ancestors practiced pre-colonialism. The initiative has now been developed into a national framework, and with the intention of bringing communities together that have been victims of racial and systemic violence, and do the work of racial healing and uniting one another as humans experiencing this collective trauma. And I wanted to show this brief video, if I may, of the founders, Dr. Gail Christopher, in her own words, and she's at Duke University right now. So I'll go ahead and play it.
America needs truth. Our people need healing. Our society needs transformation. But how? We've had commissions before, and we still have not learned the lessons of our past. This time will be different. This time, we will learn from the wisdom of our communities and engage in a national grassroots effort to write a new American story.
Ultimately, racism is a belief system. It's an ideology. It's a way of seeing the world. And it is the legacy of that belief system that we live with.
The work has already begun. In small towns and city centers, meeting in libraries, churches, and on college campuses, from Alaska to Louisiana.
How do we get over our fixation on this absurd notion of racial hierarchy?
Since it was developed by nearly 200 experts in 2016, the Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation framework has been used by dozens of communities across the country with the goal of uprooting the conscious and unconscious belief in a hierarchy of human value. To craft the framework for local TRHT commissions, we drew on the study of over 40 global examples of truth and reconciliation commissions. The framework is simple but powerful, and it works. Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation guides folks through a process of learning and unlearning that ultimately creates a new community history, one that doesn't hide the ugly truth and weaves the stories of all local peoples. Over years of experience, practitioners have learned that relationship building by stakeholders in the community is an essential ingredient to overcome divides. On this basis of healing through storytelling and understanding, community members collaboratively craft plans for creating transformational change to the laws, economic rules, and physical structures that keep us apart and unequal. Empowered by a national commission and fueled by grassroots energy, Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation will help usher in a new America that lives up to its highest ideals, where all of us can thrive.
Alrighty, y'all. So she could explain it better than I can, especially because I'm a little nervous. Like I said, I haven't done this public speaking in a while, but I really wanted to bring this forward as an opportunity for you all as student leaders to develop this or to implement this tool in your practice, whether it's every day, whether it's, you know, weekly, monthly, you decide, right? But I think that it is a tool that we all need and we can all utilize as a way to overcome those divides and overcome that oppression that we face, and to really to humanize our experiences, because as I mentioned previously, I come as a non-traditional student. And this tool is something that I didn't think I needed, but it has definitely expanded my knowledge on how I can better serve as an advocate for my community. And that comes within like the Latinx, like system impacted and just previously oppressed peoples. And so with that, I'll share the vision that we came up with during the initiative. And so our vision is to cultivate a campus community free of racial hierarchies, where people learn to thrive in racially equitable, liberating, and empowering educational spaces. Drawing strength and guidance from our ancestors, grounding our work in our families and communities, we center the experiences of those who have been most marginalized, who are survivors of intergenerational trauma and systemic violence. The work will challenge the dominance of Western thought and embrace indigenization, decolonization, and reconciliation as a liberatory practice to reflect institutional realities, racial healing, and transformative justice. So that is a lot. It's a lot to sink in. But with that, that's why I put on this slide that there's going to be a lot of learning and unlearning that comes up with this tool. So with that, I'll go ahead and move forward. All right, so transformative justice. We recognize that a country built on genocide and racial capitalism needs transformative justice. Therefore, we need racial healing. And as you can see, colonialism has cultivated a lot of supremacism and capitalism, and that has created trauma and inflammation. Briefly, I remember, or just like, I wanted to connect this back to my experience as the VP of Equity previously. And when I was serving as this role, there was a great need to talk about the uprisings that were happening in the name of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor. And I think I still think back at that, and I still feel the pain that that we were going through at that time. But yet we were also in a time of isolation, in a time of very traumatic things, and we're still experiencing those things. A lot of us are still experiencing grief, are still experiencing the traumas of these circumstances. And I think that it's important to talk about that. It's important to bring that back and really bring light to what it has created amongst our communities, and how we can name it, and how we can also overcome that oppression. And with that, it requires a change in narrative, but it also requires racial healing. And I want to emphasize that racial healing is not the destination, it's the journey. So again, racial healing is not the destination, it's the journey. And how do we heal from genocide as a culture? And how do we help our Native community heal as we work to stop ongoing colonial trauma? How do we move forward in greater health if we have not healed the past? So I thought this was really important to have on the slide. I don't really like to read off the slides, but this component of the framework is one that I thought is the most important, if not the heaviest component as well. But I think with this, healing is required in order to be able to build meaningful relationships. And I think even within the institution, within our academic journeys, it's important that we're able to maintain these meaningful relationships with the land, with the people that we are in contact with directly every day, with ourselves primarily. So I think that this is a very important component and something that I would like to bridge over to you all and talk about, and with that, talk about truth. So this is a picture of FIRST, formerly incarcerated radical scholars team, a club on campus. We have been doing the circles, and sorry, let me catch my breath. I think I'm going really fast, but thank you all for being present still. Truth requires a lot of energy, and it requires for us to really come forward with the most uncomfortable parts of ourselves in order to grow. And this has been one of the reasons why I've become so passionate about this initiative and about just really transformative justice in general. I previously have been working with a grassroots organization, but in all, I think that we can use this tool, and we can utilize this as a process of becoming our truest, most authentic selves and creating our we. And I love that I took this little slogan from Dr. Hatch, which he's here right now. We took this, or I took this and just shadowing or paralleling the professional development workshop that we previously did, and it really helped me get to know other folks on campus that I otherwise wouldn't have really been able to connect with on this with this opportunity. So the community vision is to see truth by building authentic relationships through the art of storytelling, affirmations, and writing. So this is a circle that we talked a lot about wellness, and we really brought forth the Indigenous practice that I have been talking about. And so I would like to invite you all as the leaders of our campus to be open to experiencing this initiative, this TRHT framework, and how you implement it in future occasions is up to you. But I would really like to develop a network of care that we can be authentic in within the institution. So with that, I'll turn it over to anyone in the room that would like to speak, including our advisors or students, on what they think of this. And I have like 5 minutes. So I'm gonna stop sharing now. Thank you. Does
We
anyone?
have Jonathan raising his hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment and say thank you for taking the time out of your day to come and speak with us, especially with the preliminary items taking very long. So I really.
I'm so sorry, you cut off.
Yes, think up.
So as a member of this team, just to give you some context for this, all those of us who are on the team, we represent all the different groups on campus, students, faculty, staff, administration. And one of the things that of this, yes, stand by that.
Can you come closer to the I don't know if it's the computer or the owl. Thank you. I can't hear.
So one of the things we're doing is the racial healing circle is the component Jasmine is talking about. And what the ask is for AS to take the lead on participating in a racial healing circle with some of the other student empowerment groups. You all typically do, the other folks on campus won't do, but so that's the ask. So we're using this racial healing process to as Jasmine said, to start the healing on our campus. We need to start there so people are comfortable then to start telling the truth about PCC. as much as we talk about equity, we didn't show up in equity. And as I said, we're still struggling in a lot of places. So the ask is really that you as student leaders model this and be willing to. So she's setting up an event. She'd like to set up an event with you and other student groups to learn about racial healing circles and to start using racial healing circles for you all to develop relationships with other student groups, so then you can then lead the way. And then what we want to do in spring is to do a train the trainers. So folks who have participated in racial healing circles, and if you're still interested in spring, then we'll train you to facilitate those. And so when we get to that point, it won't be just be facilitating for students. It'll be a cross-sectional team like we are, to facilitate those healing circles and those transformative activities so that we can get at some of our truth and then start healing collectively and start moving forward to transformation. Because a lot of times we want to jump to the action and the transformation, but we haven't done the work in terms of telling the truth and also giving ourselves time to heal collectively. And so that's, I know she had to go to class. So I know for Jasmine has been an incredible, awesome partner. You see, she's so eloquent, and she's the truth. And so we're really honored to have her as part of the team. She really is putting a lot of work into this. So that's the ask, is that if you'd be willing to participate in this, it requires vulnerability. It requires authenticity. It requires you bringing your honest self to the table with your peers initially. We're working on this. We did one for PD Day. Nick and Carrie facilitated, were our key facilitators for that. It was an awesome experience. We did it with classified staff. It was an incredible experience. And so we want to start this amongst all the other things that are happening on campus. We want to roll this out, as she said, as a tool for us to work through some of the really, really personal hard work. So that's just a little context. I don't know if Nick or Carrie want to say any more about that. It's important to know if you think
That's Philly.
Yeah, I definitely would be interested in helping out. We did something similar for API. Every month we did like a on that. And I was helping them make planning and talking to them about it, about what students wanted for that. And so I think I would be interested. I can help out if anybody wants to do it.
So I don't want you to think of it as an event. It's a process. So it's not a one-step thing. This is the work. Remember I was talking about the work that now needs to happen beyond all the resolution. This is the work.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Yeah, so these are very good. I think that is really the opportunity for all of us to participate in this. I think this is a much bigger conversation where we figure out how communities of color can actually collectively feel. As Jasmine was saying, with all the generational trauma that we have been through, we're continuously going through in society. So I would be definitely very interested to be a part of this process. And yeah, I just think that it's very, very important.
Yes.
I just want to wrap it up. But I just wanted to add as well that the outward appearance that PCC has on a lot of other colleges, like other Southwest reporting, and other various community colleges, is that PCC is like the shining beacon of social justice amongst most of the community colleges. That's what I've heard from directors of marketing and from other colleges and their students. And that's the thing, is that if we're going to take on this initiative, we're basically going to perpetuate that image. And that's really something that you can work on. And I'm the person who does marketing, so I will definitely help if anybody's interested. So.
Right. But definitely, I'm interested in bringing this back up. I just received a text from Jasmine letting me know that she actually was disconnected. Her signal was off, but she has to go to class, and she would like to bring this back to the table. But Thank you, Dr. Hatch, for being here as well. Just want to recognize you and make sure that, there isn't anything that you wanted to address regarding this topic. Thank you.
Yeah, just here to support, right? Rebecca and Carrie can say anything better than I would say it anyway.
Right on. Thank you. Okay, so thanks, Jasmine, and to everyone who participated in this. We're moving on to a discussion item about Shafter Library reopening to the public. So for today, we kind of just want to make an open discussion for this conversation we've been having with Danielle, as she mentioned during our public comment earlier. I know Eugene has been in conversation with her as well. And there's a student that I've been in communication with. I'm assuming he didn't have time. He told me he would be here today to share his perspective. But one of his concerns, and some of the other student workers and apparently staff too, is that some don't feel safe with the library reopening to the public. We now have an update, a better update than I could have provided today from Danielle during the public comment. But we just want to know how y'all feel about it reopening to the public now that there is a vaccination screening that will be available for those visiting. The concern before was that there wasn't anything besides the coming to campus form, but it didn't verify anything on vaccination. Eugene, is there anything else about that?
Yes, I think a lot of safety concerns are like, people have been done about that, but I think there's like a capacity concern now because, it's 50% capacity, which means like 390 students can use the library at one time. And like the only way they're enforcing that is to see if like there's enough seats for everyone in the libraries. If there is, then they're not at full capacity yet. And so I think, she said that she's gonna try to open up the library, the third floor of the library, so I think that'll be a good, fix to this issue, but.
Yes, no?
Yeah, I agree with what you just said. I think this is also sort of an equity issue. I know that they're opening it to the public and I guess students now who have the green check mark or their badge, but I am just kind of confused as to why 600 students were dropped from their classes because they couldn't access things on campus anymore. And now the library is open to the public as long as they fulfill that, but then they can't take classes even online anymore. So that's the problem I have with it.
Thank you. Tommy?
Yeah, I think this kind of like, it really is an equity issue because, we talked about like spaces earlier and it's like how come we have like such limited space, but we have, the third floor of the library is closed. I think that's definitely an issue. I walk into the library personally, I feel safe. I'm really happy about it opening for public because like I'm someone who thinks like public space can be like used properly. Like I don't think we should really be picking out people who are from this community and actually contribute to the community. I feel the same way kind of like homeless in general, like being on campus. Like I'm not really comfortable like taking the homeless off of our campus because it is a public area just like the library. So that's just how I feel about it. I'm glad that's open and I'm glad that they are requiring vaccines, but I just think we should open it up even more by opening up the third floor.
Right. Carrie?
So I just wanted to double check, I don't think it's really question to be 100% filtered up. Because for all that we do the health screening on campus, the first question is, are you fully vaccinated? If you're not fully vaccinated, that health screening will freeze you out. You do not get a new check. Just was looking at the college, it says if you're a library, public and medical uses, you show your vaccine card. So I think I would like some clarification from the campus, because generally, again, this is like I just said, we're not asking for people's cards, it's like what's your documents, but we're asking them to use the health care. So I think there's some question on that. I think that having them show their vaccine card, does kind of alleviate some of those safety questions, and it also does bring things in clarity with the students who are new to campus and not being able to be on campus because they do not have
Trustee Cox?
I don't know, is anybody here for me?
It's what she said, she said, no, it's for the ID card, that's it.
So, after I have a conversation with Janet, so she just told me that the library is the only place, because of the public access, that they will be checking for vaccination. That was literally just. So it's the only place where they will be checking, and that's the public only. The students still just have to do the campus access pass or the health survey, just like everywhere else. So that, the rules are the same for students. Like in one of the questions, well, I don't know what the third floor is, I've been hearing that. I thought they were opening. Okay, I thought they were opening the third floor, that was my understanding of what how the negotiations were that were happening. Is so that there can be full capacity. I'm not sure the capacity has been and not like by them excluding people, but the interest in students using it. So I think that's some information I don't have, and I'm not sure if anybody in this room has, about how many students are even attempting to use it, and have they ever even been close to capacity at this point?
About that, yeah, so they have approximately 600 students last week at the library. But I want to mention that they don't just go and do that, they have places, so they go around time. So they have like inclusive capacity. So I think like once you have like midterm season and like final season, it could be an issue. And like not allowing students to come because the public, not being able to study students.
Yeah, if I may add, there's an update I have from Dr. Levo, which is that the library will reopen the third floor on November 29th. And to accommodate, and this is a message that is being relayed from Leonora Rogat, and I believe that she's acting as the dean for the library at the moment. The current usage of the library has not reached anything close to 50% on its first and second floors of the library. 50% capacity is a little over 100 students on the second floor. And our highest capacity so far has been in the high 70s. So it becomes clear that the second floor is no longer adequate for accommodating students and members of the public who require study space. Then the third floor will be reopened earlier than November 29th. In the meantime, the second floor is being maintained as a quiet study space. So there's an update with that. I'm not sure if the student workers at the library know about this information or any of the other employees in there. But that's an email that I have. Is there any more discussion? I know that our next guest has also something pending. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Seems like they're moving forward with progress. So thank you all. Moving on to discussion about scheduling academic counselors. And it is recommended that the executive board discuss scheduling academic counselor appointments. So today we have Ingrid. Ingrid is an academic counselor here at PCC. Do you have access to unmute yourself?
Thank you so much. Good
You're
afternoon,
welcome.
everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I was really hoping to be there in person with you today, but for safety reasons, I'm home today. But maybe I can join you in the future. Thank you so much for this time and space. I don't know, Emmanuel, did you happen to send like the form and the flyer I
I
shared?
have your flyer. I'm gonna pull up your flyer.
Sure. Thank you so much. So I'm here really for help. I need your kind of brains and voices, perspective. We in academic counseling have evolved and changed a lot in the last year and a half, almost 2 years. given different like scheduling systems, given the need to switch over to online, to virtual, to phone, just a lot of changes. And we have, and to some extent have gotten to a point where we feel like what we have set up is working, but there's always room for improvement. And so we wanted to, you know, we've done student surveys on surveying the students who we have met with over the course of the year and a half. Also work really closely with our student workers and the different like counseling areas and programs in which we have their voice. And then I wanted to spend time here with you all. We've also have an upcoming meeting with Equipo and the Black Council. And so we're just trying to get as much feedback as possible to continue to evolve and continue to make this process one that is easy and accessible to students, and that it all essentially lives in one place, and that it's communicated consistently kind of across different methods. And so we realize that because a lot of changes have happened, there also hasn't been a big push about like, how do you access counseling? Like, I think for the most part, our students have been accessing counseling in the ways that they know how, but we're ready to kind of, with y'all's feedback, also provide a more structured, guided access to counseling. And just so this flyer is just one of these pieces that kind of sums up how a student can access counseling. So I would love to just give you a kind of bird's eye view overview of how we're set up in counseling. And there is a Google form I sent to Emmanuel to be able to gather some feedback kind of beyond the discussion today. And if you can provide any feedback to that by the end of maybe next week, that would be great. Just we're trying to collect as much as possible. A lot of this is not set in stone. So that's the beauty of it, that we can kind of pivot. We've learned to pivot a lot in the last year and a half. So I wanted to make sure that was stated. So in terms of an overview, academic counseling exists in a lot of different pockets across campus. There is first year experience and there's general counseling. So those are the most kind of general broad types of academic counseling. There's FYE and there's our general counseling office in L104. With FYE and general counseling, our FYE team serves students who are 0 to 20 units. And then our general counseling office will serve students who are 20 units plus, right? So these are the students who are not part of a particular program, like Ascend or Core or EOPS. These are students who are kind of unaffiliated to a particular program on campus or community on campus. For the students who are part of a community on campus, a program, a specific area, students who are in those or kind of identify as being a participant of a program, they have access to their specific counseling per that program. So if a student is a student at Rosemead, they have direct kind of access to Rosemead counseling. EOPS students have EOPS counseling. If a student is part of multiple programs, they have access to multiple counselors across the programs they are participants in. So there is special program counseling, and then there's the general kind of FYE and general counseling as kind of the two big umbrellas with academic counseling. The second layer to that is that with our new scheduling system with PCC Connect, this is fairly new as of spring, late spring. We kind of scaffolded different programs, kind of slowly added their counseling appointments on Connect. And we were across different platforms before that. Some of our programs used SAR, some of our programs used Microsoft Outlook, other programs used I can't even think of the other one, Calendly. So just kind of across, so it wasn't consistent for a student. We're so happy to share that all of our counseling programs or counseling appointments are all in one booking system. So they're in PCC Connect. And as I had mentioned, for students who are part of a program, they have a direct link that they can access. Typically, the program will share that information out to students that are part of that program. If you have, or when you have a moment, if you haven't already, if you look at the counseling web page on our website, you'll notice, thank you, Emmanuel, if you notice, you can click on the counseling appointment section, and I'll wait for Emmanuel here so that you can also make sense as we're looking at it. If you look at counseling under support, there are direct links specifically for students who are part of a special program or area. You can go up and you'll see a banner, the red banner. You can click counseling appointments. It's the third option right there. Yeah. So a student can, kind of self-identify depending on whether they're a parent with a child at this child development center, or they're a Puente student, or they're a core scholar. They can just kind of select how they identified and what community or program they're in, and they'll have access to the direct link to schedule the appointment. So it's always a direct link for a special program, but for our general counseling and for FYE, so these are, again, the students who are not part of a particular program, those appointments, students do also get a direct link to schedule their own appointment, but they have to be referred first. And the points of referral really vary. They can be the student's success coach, it could be the VSC, it could be our L104 front counter, it can be the Welcome Center, it can be B100, the FYE Center. So these are all different access points that a student has to get that referral to then book an FYE or a general counseling appointment. And the reason for that really is because there are two types of appointments that we offer in FYE in general. It's a 15-minute or a 45-minute, and the number of students that are not part of a program is much, much larger. So it's helpful to identify what the need of the student may be, kind of a triage before the counseling appointment that they can go ahead and schedule. So, that's just really an overview. I wanted to share two things today, and I hope that was fairly clear in that what our academic counseling process is, and then also this page that is on the screen is very new. We've never had our direct links on the webpage in this way. We've never had it organized in a way where all of our special programs were in one place to serve as a quick direct access to the student, but also, like, if they click on thank you core scholar, they not only get the direct link to the appointment type, they also get information on how to learn more about that program. So with feedback from our students and our student workers, we wanted to make this both a exploratory experience, but also kind of a quick access experience to their appointment booking. So both the process and then also just the website update. So those are the two things I would love to get specific feedback on. And then if there's anything else or any other discussion points, questions, I'm happy to answer. And you do also have the form available to just kind of look through the website and have some time to kind of process that and provide some feedback. Last thing I wanted to mention is that also our appointments are offering in-person, phone, and video. We learned a lot in the last year and a half and have found that to really provide equitable services in counseling, it's helpful to provide all three modalities. And so a student really has it's student-centered and being the student choice to determine whether the appointment is in person, if it's via phone, or if it's via Zoom. So students will see those options in their booking appointment link. Other than that, I think I covered what I wanted to cover here. Yeah. If there are any questions, anything I can help either clarify or answer, I would love to. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Yes, thank you, Ingrid. So, any questions, comments? I had a question regarding, so back on that page, how do we, how do we get the option of booking the in-person, online, or over the phone appointment?
So when a student goes on PCC Connect, and I can definitely provide some maybe screenshots. We also have some videos actually, so I'll send you links to some videos that we're looking to link onto the webpage. When a student goes onto their PCC Connect portal to then book the appointment, there's an option for location. And that's where students would see a drop-down menu where they can select phone, video, or it'll say in person, and it'll give the student an idea of, or give the student a direct information in terms of what building and what room number. So the in-person counseling appointments are kind of, it depends on like the comfort level and the space available on the counselor's end. So we do have some counseling offices that are really small and they're not, they don't have the capability of a 6 feet distance. And so for those particular counselors, we're hosting the appointments in a classroom. So then the in-person option for the student will show, for example, building R, room 390 or 350 or whatever the room number is. And then the student gets that in their confirmation email. Other areas in council, like Rosemead, for example, they have a nice spacious room. And so their appointments are happening like right on their center and kind of on ground. I think Puente is also happening in their office, given that the space. So it varies, but the in-person, when the student selects it, it'll let them know specifically where they would report to. And they always have the option to report to, if it's at the Colorado campus, to report to L104, and then our front desk staff will help direct them.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions, y'all? I was wondering if I can get a raise of hands, who has had an appointment in person before with an academic counselor?
Oh, cool. Were they in classrooms or in?
I mean, I'm asking just in general. Oh yeah, so prior to the pandemic.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, so I mean, on this campus, that's my question. So.
So this might be very independent to just the regular counseling, but for some counselors, like the safety honors program, it's very complicated to schedule appointments because there is like no time slot at all. And sometimes, so yeah, I don't know if that's an issue that I'm seeing, that different types of programs don't really have times available for counseling. So that's an issue that I just wanted to bring up. But I've been noticing a lot and that part of the country.
You get that?
It was really hard to hear. I mean, I could hear it, but I couldn't make out what the words were. I'm so sorry.
So what Natalia Hernandez is asking is that within the honors program, there isn't any time slots available. And I'm not sure if that's probably due to, shortage of staff.
So if I heard correctly, so with honors appointments specifically, there aren't any available or showing up. Is that?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, yeah, so that's a good point. So for across actually all of our counseling appointments, students are able to see 2 weeks in advance. So within a 2-week period, if they are either full, that would really be it. If they're just full, then there won't be options that come up within that 2-week period. If a student cancels, then those will kind of come up within that 2-week period. But let's say like today, we're looking, and this happens on the daily, our front desk staff does this. So like today's the 20th. So appointments for November 3rd were opened up today. Tomorrow, appointments for November 4th will be opened up so that there's always a 2-week window that a student is able to see. So that might be the case, why they might be full. It's always helpful to connect with us and let us know. We can always kind of bring this information back. We only have a counselor and a half for honors appointments. And so it's always helpful to see what the demand is. I know for our honors program, there is also an honors chat that happens in the mornings that can help serve also students for quick questions. But on the appointment end piece, it is on a 2-week period. Thank you for that.
Anyone else? Well, thank you, Ingrid. I appreciate you coming out. Also, I will be sharing that link, and if anyone
Yes,
has any
please.
feedback, then they can add that in.
Yes, please. Thank you so much. I hope to see you all again, hopefully in person next time. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you. Have a great
Bye.
one.
Take care. You too. Take good care of yourselves. Bye.
Okay, so thank you all. Is there any discussion about future events? I know that we're kind of pressed on time for other meetings as well. This was made only just in case we needed more time. So with that, I'll move on to appointment of college-wide committees. I'd like to appoint Jonathan Applejack as college counsel, Emilio Ranga to facilities committee. Okay. I'll send you a text. Can you confirm? Not good. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Any appointments to AS committees?
Oh, I have one for college.
Oh, yes. please.
Like to appoint as alternate to the college council.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Yes, sir.
Is it the college council?
College council, yeah.
College council? So I want to understand that that is like ICC for the entire campus. So it's representation. So that means this person can maybe that, secretary, will be representing at California council. If you feel comfortable, that's fine, then maybe we should, you know,
I can read that thing. And also just note that everybody's the veteran chief of the career. In case that matters. Yeah.
I don't know if that's.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Yeah,
I mean,
I'll be there tomorrow, so.
I mean, public meetings and they're fine, but I also just want to be conscious of who you're putting.
Right.
As long as you can go to it. I think we're running over, so. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
We're wrapping it.
I think everything else, I think we're pretty much like done with everything. I think everything's
Oh.
procedural from here, so I'd like to motion to adjourn this meeting right now at 2:11. Second. Yeah, we're running over. Yeah, so I just, yeah.
okay, so I'm sorry, can you repeat your motion?
Yeah, so I'd like to motion to adjourn at 2:11 p.m.
Thank you. Can I get a first?
No.
Oh, sorry, second by Natalie. Okay, no objections. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.